Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. We're back with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for both FanDuel and DraftKings for tonight's single game showdown slate, Thursday Night Football, divisional matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. In this video, we'll look at the top plays for both FanDuel and DraftKings, talk about some injury news for both teams, discuss some high risk and low risk lineup construction strategies, and just some general tips to help get you to the top of your contest leaderboards. Before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. That way you're notified when all of our videos are released here on YouTube. Crazy schedule coming up with Christmas slates and Saturday slates, and you never know about the 2020 season. Maybe we'll get a random middle of the week showdown slate. So clicking that subscribe button will always have you notified of when any video is released from us, Occupy Fantasy, here on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. Giving us a thumbs up lets us know that we should continue to create more of these types of videos, so we'd appreciate that. Any questions you have, you can always hop in our Discord channel or just comment below. We'll get back to you before the slate locks tonight at 8:20 p.m. Eastern. So, Chargers and Raiders, lots of injury news to discuss. So let's talk about that first before we get into any lineup construction type strategy talk. So, on the Chargers side of things, let's just highlight the Chargers here. You'll see the big three question marks. Well, I guess they're not question marks, literally the letter Q, but the big questionable tags for Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams. So Mike Williams hurt his back in the last game against the Falcons. Played just a couple of snaps, left early, didn't play the rest of the game. I would say he's probably the most questionable. Keenan Allen was banged up, had a couple injuries in that game. He's also officially a game time decision. Tom Pelissero this morning reported that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both game time decisions. And in a lost season, always have to think about, are these teams just going to rest these guys with injuries, especially on a short week. And then Austin Eckler is officially questionable, but he was actually on his own Twitch stream and said he was fine. He just has a thigh bruise, something he can easily play with. He participated in practice. He should be good to go for his normal role. The big question is, what happens if Keenan or Mike Williams miss? So if we're looking, and Mike Williams, we saw last week with him missing, that it was actually Tyron Johnson who got most of the work. So Mike Williams, Tyron Johnson, 5K on DraftKings, priced up pretty expensively for a guy that most people, I would imagine, is not a household name. They wouldn't know who Tyron Johnson is. But if we look last week, Tyron Johnson played close to 80% of the snaps and did catch a touchdown. So that's probably a big reason why he's up to 5K. But yeah, Tyron Johnson, 74% of the snaps. Obviously, his biggest snap count of the entire year. Let's just pull it up real quick. Yep, saw 7 targets, caught one of them for a touchdown. He's 5K. If Keenan Allen misses, if Keenan plays and Mike Williams doesn't, which I think is probably one of the rarest scenarios for the slate, if he doesn't, I think a lot of people are still going to play Tyron Johnson as their quote-unquote number 4 receiver. But it's actually KJ Hill, who's Keenan Allen's direct backup. So let's scroll all the way down. KJ Hill, minimum price. So if Keenan Allen misses, KJ Hill's the guy you want. And not a ton of work for him just in general this year because Keenan hasn't missed much. But if you look at the game against the Saints back in week number 5, Keenan left the game before halftime. It was KJ Hill that ran most of the routes out of the slot. He saw 49% of the snaps in that game. And if we look this past week, when Keenan was in and out of the lineup with his back and I think ankle injury, KJ Hill played his second most snaps of the year at 22%. So really interesting scenario here where we'll get a min-price guy that a lot of people won't be on. So we have to monitor the inactives leading up throughout the day, see what any beat reporters say. But KJ Hill, if Keenan Allen is out, is the guy we want, especially in high-risk contests. Now, on the Oakland side of things, on the Vegas side of things, I'm going to keep making that mistake for a while. The biggest issue here is Henry Ruggs, who is on the COVID list. He will not play. He's been playing a ton of snaps, obviously, as their first-round draft pick. And what is going to happen with him out of the lineup is a little bit uncertain. We expect Brian Edwards, their other rookie receiver this year, who was playing a ton of snaps early before he got hurt his ankle in week 3. He's only $400. He'll probably play a majority of the snaps in place of Henry Ruggs, and I think he'll be relatively popular. Not like the most popular player on the slate, but I think most projection systems will have Brian Edwards in a higher role than he has been, and at just $400, he'll probably be the most popular punt play. The pivot in high risk contests, and again, we don't know for sure how this is going to play out. They could split snaps. It could be this guy entirely, Zay Jones. who, he used to play in Buffalo, could get a ton of snaps. They split snaps. They've pretty much split snaps since Brian Edwards has been back. So Edwards likely the guy, but it could be Zay Jones. And even if Zay Jones plays less, he could easily outscore Brian Edwards, who hasn't commanded a ton of targets when he's been on the field this year. So Zay Jones is the pivot you want in high-risk contests. All right, let's bring both teams back in the mix here, and let's think about our low-risk lineups. 50-50s, head-to-heads, double-ups. Encourage you to go to read our ultimate guide, our 19-chapter ebook. Tons of chapters specifically on different contest types and what that means for your lineups. So for low-risk lineups in showdown contests, we want to try to lock up all the touchdown scoring. Get both running backs from both teams, get both quarterbacks from both teams. And by doing that, any touchdown in the game is basically going to be in our low-risk lineup. Novel idea, I know, but most people won't do that. So if we try to do that tonight, obviously it's Herbert, Eckler, Derek Carr, and Josh Jacobs. That only leaves us with $15.50 per player. Not something we can traditionally do. So we'll probably have to drop Herbert down to a flex spot. That leaves us $4,500. We'll use a non-traditional captain. This is a high-scoring game. The total's 53.5 points. Probably can use a kicker at our captain in our low-risk contest. If we hop over to FanDuel, pretty much impossible, as we see from time to time. So Herbert, Carr, Eckler, Jacobs. That's just $2,500 left per player. We pull it up here. $2,500 obviously can't fit that. The cheapest player on FanDuel is $5K. So I have to make some decisions. Whether it's leaving Eckler out of the mix as he doesn't get all the goal line work and still a little banged up. Josh Jacobs is also banged up too. Remember, he had a high ankle sprain a couple weeks ago. Only played 43% of the snaps last week. So not a lock by any means. So all this is to say it's not the best low-risk night possible. Really good high-risk night, though, I would say. So I think the best move here, let's think about this, let's think about our high-risk contest now. Let's transition a bit. Not 50-50s. 100-player leagues, satellites, GPPs, multipliers, contests where the payouts are exponential near the top 20 or 30% at most win money. On FanDuel, we normally see one quarterback or both quarterbacks get a majority of the MVP ownership. But because of Austin Eckler tonight, because of Josh Jacobs, because of Keenan Allen, both Herbert and Carr are going to be a little bit lower owned than they should be. And this is the same over on DraftKings. Generally, we'll see a quarterback get 15 to 20% captain ownership. We might only see 8 to 12% for these two guys. And with the possibility of Keenan and Mike Williams missing, with the uncertainty around Henry Ruggs, his replacement, there are a lot of different ways to stack the quarterbacks at captain and MVP tonight. So even though it's a divisional rematch and we can expect passing games to drop by roughly 10% in production as we've seen in years past in these divisional rematches, still this game with the uncertainty in the backfields and some of the injuries at receiver, we can actually create differentiated high upside quarterback captain stacks, which is rare. Normally you don't see that very often. And so because with Herbert, let's just say you captain Herbert, and let's go over to FanDuel because this is probably the most this is usually where you MVP quarterbacks anyways. So if we go Herbert, I mean, we can literally stack him with Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, obviously, Hunter Henry. If Mike Williams plays, we can stack him with him. And then if they miss, then we're scrolling. We got Jalen Guyton, who, hint, is one of our underperforming receivers this week, plays 80% of the snaps. Jalen Guyton, only 7K. Tyron Johnson, if Mike Williams misses. And if Keenan misses, we have KJ Hill at 5K, minimum price. A lot of different ways to stack Justin Herbert. Derek Carr, just as many possibilities. We can stack him with Waller, Nelson Aguilar, who's turned into their wide receiver one in the craziest storyline of 2020. Or now we can start scrolling. Hunter Renfrow. I guess you could do Foster Moreau as a tight end too. I don't know why he's priced like he is. I guess he scored a touchdown last week. But then Brian Edwards is 6K. Zay Jones is 5.5K. And these guys at these prices allow us to leave salary left over and differentiate our lineups. So, very rare for me to say this, but I think quarterback captain MVP is the way to go tonight. And I think if you read our daily plug at occupyfantasy.com, when we finalize all of our thoughts, I think you'll read more about it there. So again, that'll post around 4 p.m. Eastern today, the daily plug, occupyfantasy.com. Thoughts for every single player on the slate, as well as finalized specific lineup strategies, low risk, high risk contests, FanDuel and DraftKings. Go check that out. Our Occupy model is already updated, and it'll update throughout the day if any injury news comes in with projected ownership. ranks every player FanDuel and DraftKings. And I think that's it. Go check out our premium podcast too, OccupyFantasy.com, and our members dashboard with Colin Drew of Daily Roto, as we discussed our thoughts. Both Colin and I have entries into the $3,000 entry showdown contest tonight, so we discussed a little bit of strategy there as well. So that'll do it for this video. Appreciate you all listening. Again, be sure to subscribe to get notified when our videos are released. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. We appreciate that. Any questions you have, we're happy to answer them. Go ahead and hop in the comments below before the slate locks. We'll get back to you. So, Brian Jester, Occupy Fantasy. Oh, yeah, be sure to follow us at Occupy Fantasy on Twitter. That's probably the best way to follow us. Any news about content, especially for these random upcoming slates, it'll be posted on Twitter. So that's the best way to get information on what our content is looking like at Occupy Fantasy on Twitter. So, Brian, appreciate you listening. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.